Hey everybody, welcome, and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. I'm here again with Dr. Shannon Curry. Last week we traded professional perspectives about how to do therapy in our different contexts. This week we get a little bit more personal with Shannon about her relationship with her husband, Tai. She points me toward a researcher named Tai Tashiro, not her husband, that has some thoughts about what makes relationships work. I loved listening to Shannon make me smarter about Tai Tashiro, and I realized I actually knew of him before, but not in a relationship context. I'm familiar with a couple of his books, specifically The Science of Socially Awkward and Why That's Awesome. That's a pretty cool read. I think Shannon is referring to another book that I've not read, which is called The Science of Happily Ever After, which is about what really matters in the search for true love. She introduces me to a new concept that I'm actually crazy about, in part because it starts with C, and you know I'm obsessed with alliteration, and I love things like creativity and compassion and courage, but also because it's an extremely sound concept that I just haven't given much thought to. It's the principle of conscientiousness. We talk about what it means to be conscientious in a relationship, and it's pretty exciting to hear her talk about her relationship and some of what makes it work, including Tai's conscientiousness and some other factors that I think you'll enjoy hearing about. This is the second of 3 chats that Shannon and I have together. I think you'll enjoy it because this is a very cool conversation. Stick around. Can I ask you about your own relationship?
Of course. I love talking about that.
You are married to Tai.
Mm-hmm.
You said something to me interesting that I think people need to hear. And I want to make sure that you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to say a little bit of it and then you take it from there. But you talked about, or said to me one time, he's such a good guy, but maybe he's not the sexiest or the hottest or something, because people aim for these really hot guys or tall guys or whatever, but the target is a kind guy. And do you remember what you're talking about? I don't think you certainly weren't putting him down, but you were sort of I'm so glad I gave up my dream of the hunky hunker type.
So he actually is hot, and
I think so too. That's why I think I'm a little bit surprised.
I sometimes feel bad disclosing but I think what I might have been referring to is when I was dating and what I was looking for. I had no idea what he looked like. And what had happened was...
What do you mean you had no idea what you looked like? Looked like?
It was Tinder. And he was he was wearing a giraffe costume in his photo.
All right.
And then he used to work on an oil rig. And so it was his giraffe costume. And then he basically was on the rig most months out of the year. And so hard hat stuff. But because of this talk I had gone to at the American Psych Association conference, run by Tai Tashiro, not my husband, different Tai, but also wonderful. He's a psychologist and a researcher, a statistician. And like the Gottmans, he was interested in what led to lasting happiness and love. And he actually looked at personality traits. And he found that he also looked at statistics and found that you were far more likely to be able to find a partner if you focused on, really reduced your wish list to 3 primary traits. You were going to find a partner. And the question really isn't, will you find a partner? If you have 3 things in mind, you will find somebody with those 3 things. The question is, are your 3 things going to make you happy? And so he found that the 3 personality traits that were actually most correlated with happiness had nothing to do with hotness or looks or wealth. And actually it was conscientiousness, sort of low neuroticism, so flexibility and emotional stability, and then actually moderate adventurousness. So people who are high in adventurousness, who like new shiny things and new adventures, it's not that, that is correlated with higher rates of infidelity in general, but even if there's not infidelity, somebody who is high in adventurousness is going to have a hard time just focusing on you and the marriage, and they're always going to kind of have new ideas. I'm very high in adventurousness, and Tai is incredibly patient.
Wait. These things that you're describing, these 3 things, is that universal or is that somehow unique to your profile?
Gosh, we'd have to ask Tai Tashiro about that. But I think, my understanding is that in the study that he conducted, and it was a longitudinal study, the couples that were most satisfied in their marriage over time,
those 3 things.
And my understanding is I believe it was just one partner had to have those traits. I don't know. We'll have to look at the research.
Yeah.
He can better answer these questions, but it was incredible. It was a really robust study. It was really fascinating. And I was sitting there and just thinking, I mean, I really love science. So I knew this speaks to me. If somebody is telling me that this is well substantiated, this is evidence-based, I can do that. And he also controlled for some of the caveats. He said, look, I've talked to my students about this, and a lot of them have tried it. And they will come back and tell me how hard this is because they go to a bar and you get a drink in you and all you want is hotness and attraction. So we've got this evolutionary drive that's pulling us towards some of these traditional traits that we're attracted to. But he said, if we've changed the rules of the game. Like we're living now till we're 70, 80, not till we're 30. So we're still attracted to things that are going to help us reproduce a bunch before we die at age 30 from 200,000 years ago. And the game is different now. And so those urges are actually hindering us. And he said, if you think you're going to roll over when you're 50 and be like, I'm so glad you're hot. You have another, then great, choose hotness. But frankly, I love going to bed every night with Tai. Like I have this little moment of gratitude no matter what's happening in my life. Like I know what it's like to be in a really deeply unhappy relationship. I've been there before. I know what it's like to feel unstable, to feel afraid, to feel miserable in a relationship, to feel like I don't know what's coming tomorrow, if we're going to still be together, to wish my life were different. And at the end of the day with Tai, what I feel is like, no matter what is happening in my life, I am so grateful for our tiny little family. Just me, my husband, and my dog. Yeah. And anywhere we have a roof over. I remember once thinking the grid was going down when I was doing a forensic case in Arizona. I'd just come out of the courthouse. I was just like downtown Phoenix, and there's nothing there outside of the courthouse. There's like a freeway and desert. And it was end of the day. Everybody had gotten in the cars, even security. Everything closes down. It's just government buildings. And the legal team had all left, and I was planning to get an Uber. And my phone wasn't connecting. I thought I just needed to turn it off, turn it back on. I'd been in court all day. Maybe something weird happened. And I couldn't get it to come back on. It was just SOSing. And I start walking around, and it's starting to get dark. I can't connect. And I get in this real kind of sudden panic mode where I'm like, I will not die here. I will not die here. Is the grid going down? Is everything? I have a lot of clients, military clients, some who are in government, and I hear a lot of things. And I was like, this is it. The grid is down. The grid is down. The grid is down. I know enough to know that's very bad. Yeah. And I imagine myself like I was like, okay, how do I want to handle this? I kind of went through the motions in my mind. I was like, I'll take off my heels and I will just start running home, and I'll never make it, right? I'm not going to be able to run through the desert to Newport Beach, California in my suit, but I'm going to die trying, because the idea of being with my husband and my dog was like, that would carry me. I'm not going to die here knowing I'm not getting closer to them. Okay. And we owe it all to Tai Tashiro.
Well, okay. So this is something I want.
Bring it back, Zach. Bring it back.
I can. I'm trying to figure out which fork I want to take. Hey, in case you hadn't heard, I turned 52 last week, and like most people in midlife, I'm trying to make small, sustainable changes to feel better in my body and generally just on the planet. I've been going to the gym, I'm eating better. I actually started swimming because it's summer now. So when I heard about Z-Biotics sugar to fiber, I decided to give it a shot, and I've been pleasantly surprised. Every morning, I stir a packet into my water bottle, which I drank during the day with clients. And while I'm sitting there doing therapy, it quietly goes to work turning some of the sugar I'm already eating into a rare prebiotic fiber called lecithin. That's right, science is now transforming sugar into fiber. I feel a little bit like maybe Willy Wonka, but with a gut health degree. Built by PhD microbiologists, sugar to fiber improves the amount and diversity of fiber your body receives. And let's be honest, about 95% of us aren't getting enough. I didn't change what I eat, I just added this, and it's made a difference. Let's just say I'm more regular than I used to be. So if you are also interested in making tiny changes to help you become healthier and happier on the planet, visit zbiotics.com/MTR and use the code MTR for 15% off your first order. They offer a 100% money-back guarantee, so there's no downside. I'd encourage you to check it out today, and thanks to Z-Biotics for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back to it. I'm fascinated by the three things. The three things are what now?
Okay. remember, I'm talking about somebody else's research here, so don't 100% quote me on this.
But you're also talking about your partner.
What I have integrated into my memory and what I think it was conscientiousness, number one.
Meaning?
Which I think, because you love semantics, you might appreciate this. I think of conscientiousness as not just being nice, which anybody can be nice and be a pushover, but conscientiousness it covers three things. It's not just niceness, but the person also has to be pretty motivated to follow through on meeting your needs, right? Like a conscientious person is the guy who drives the car around so you don't have to walk out in the rain. Like he'll walk out in the rain, go through the extra hassle of getting the car and bringing it around because he knows you just got your hair done, right?
Yeah.
That's thoughtful, and that takes some motivation. So you're getting a motivated person, and then you're also getting an intelligent, intuitive person who's paying attention to the details. And knowing what actually will satisfy. And I will tell you what, Tai is exceptionally conscientious. It is one of those things that makes me appreciate him and admire him.
Yeah.
More and more every day. And that admiration is a quality. People think, well, don't you have to have chemistry? Let me tell you, again, if you want to roll over when you're 70 and be so glad your partner is hot, fine. But real chemistry is admiration. And Tai blows me away with how well he knows me, how well he knows our friends, the thoughtful things he's always considering, and just those little blips that are so insightful because he's paying attention. I just am so in love with my husband, and it's because of conscientiousness. Okay. And I did not know that was possible to sustain that over time. And the research was right.
How long have you guys been together?
10 years.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
So conscientiousness, what's the second one?
Second one, I think, was low neuroticism, which I understand to be essentially if we're thinking, and by the way, these are personality models, different personality trait models, theories, but low neuroticism is that, dementia has been defined as somebody kind of not overly, essentially emotionally stable. There's a stability and a mental flexibility and a willingness to kind of roll with the punches, not get bent over out of shape over things. I am not low in neuroticism.
Yeah, I was like, you and me are in trouble. Like, because
I feel like on all three of these, it's like, ooh. But somebody pretty flexible. And then the third is one that's very surprising to people, which is moderate adventurousness. Okay. And the reason for that is high adventurousness is associated with higher levels of infidelity. But even if there's not infidelity,
restlessness.
Yeah, restlessness. So I actually am very high in adventurousness. I need new projects, new interests. I've always been like that. My mind kind of needs, I just have a gazillion side quests. Some of that is ADD, some of that is intellectual curiosity. It's just, I'm hungry for exciting new things. That can be lonely for Tai, I know that. You can make concerted efforts to make up for that and to be a very loving, committed partner. But these are just personality traits. They're kind of, how we're bred, how we're born.
Yeah.
And you will be happier if you get somebody who is, not low in adventurousness where they're not interested in anything, but someone who really just loves stability and home and knows what's important in life.
Yeah. And this is he kind of checks all three boxes.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Why does he love you?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I mean,
well, I tried, but you didn't accept my invitation to have the two of you come on together.
Actually, he was willing to. He should. You want me to call him real quick and ask him?
We'll make it we'll do it in the future, or maybe we'll do it next time.
Okay. I can ask him.
You don't know? Doesn't he tell you?
He does, but it's like in one ear and out the other. I know that he thinks...
He probably loves you because you're such a good listener. All right, listen, I don't need to ask that question. I want to ask this question.
Sure.
I had a student say this to me the other day, and I thought, oh, Shannon will have something to say about that. But she introduced herself because people were letting me know like kind of what their family situation was. And she said, we're childless by choice. That's you too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is that, and where did that come from for the two of you? Like, how did you find that together?
You ask the best questions, buddy. Conscientious.
It's my job.
Conscientious.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So even when I was little, I kind of knew I didn't want kids.
Because you just
was
finished telling us how you had like 15 brothers and sisters and like you came from this giant
and
family.
I love my sisters. I mean, I love them. In fact, if I still see a little baby, I was just telling Ty, we saw a little baby this weekend, like baby, and the sounds the baby was making took me right back in time. I was like, every year there was that sound again in my life. Like it just reminds me of my baby sisters. So I understand a component when I think of the love.
Did you tell us, are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest. I have an older half sister. I'm the oldest of the group that was in our home.
Okay.
And I loved my sisters with such an intensity that sometimes the way I can imagine it must feel like to be a parent, it makes me think of that, like where I would die for them. The idea of them suffering hurts me, like makes me sick. The idea of anything happening to them still to this day is let's not even talk. It just it makes me sick.
I can
not even sick. Like I feel like I might pass out. It's so upsetting. But I love my little baby sisters, and I think I wanted to be an astronaut so bad when I was a kid that I used to wear a space outfit to school a lot. I actually had like the blue jumpsuit.
I love that.
And I was actually really obsessed with it. Like I would imagine takeoff while I was going to sleep at night because I was very worried about that part of space program, program and space flight. And I knew I needed to mentally prepare if I was going to be ready for training and applications because I was afraid of roller coasters. So that was all that was on my mind. And honestly, the idea of like having a child never got me enthused. It was that simple. When you talk about being a grown up, kids not enthused. Space travel, amazing. And then that kind of it continued in that sort of same relative way. Every phase of my life, kids not enthused. Doctoral program enthused. Research in Peru enthused. And then I met Ty, and he didn't have children. He lost his brother when he was 14 years old. His older brother, who was 2 years older, died in a car accident. And he saw his mother go through that kind of traumatic grief. And she had been a single mom raising them, so it had just been them. And I think it absolutely changed the course of his life. And he's very open and honest about, like, he does realize that some of his initial fears of having children or having a family of his own were fear-based, very much avoidant of loss. But also there was another part of it that was very reasonable and reasoned, and that he did have a lot of interest in travel and cultures. He grew up in Australia and Borneo, and then his family moved to Texas when his mother remarried when he was a teenager. But he had been, he used to get his braces adjusted in Singapore. He was just very interested in traveling and being a part of the world. And he was single for a very long time. He's a very intentional guy. I know that when he was like hot and bartending and managing bars a lot in his 20s, 30s, he used to be very transparent with women. Like, if we sleep together, I need you to understand that he was always very clear and honest. He is honest to a fault. Like, if he gets pulled over and he's had a beer, he is going to volunteer that information to the cop. It drives me crazy. Anyway, honest to a fault, very humble. And he would talk like that to women, like, I'm not interested in a relationship. And of course, like, no woman's been more attracted to that.
Yeah. I'm going to win this. I'm going to convert him. I'm going to make him.
Exactly. Yeah. And this upfront guy who's being so straightforward. And that's just kind of how he is. So he was never passive about anything. He's always very intentional about what he wants, make sure that everybody's on board. So he never really got himself into any situations that were problematic or, again, like, didn't work. And then when we met, I was actually in the process of freezing my eggs. I was 35. Again, science. I love science. You tell me a scientific way to optimize dating and love, I'll do it. You tell me that you have a way to help me have the option to get pregnant if I want to, and it doesn't have to be limited by age, I'll do it. So I did that. And again, it was, to me, just a very rational thing. Like, why wouldn't I if that option exists? And at the time, my incredible Hawaii insurance covered that. I wish that were more common. But yeah, and then we've just never used them.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
I'm going to tell you something that's going to make you sad. Rebecca and I, when we got together, we obviously we have 2 children, but we were very clear that we did not want dogs. Like it was actually a vetting criteria. I think if either one of us had said, "Oh my God, I love dogs. I can't wait to have dogs," we would have broken up like within the first couple weeks. I don't know. I'm just sort of,
what
the way I explain it to people,
on?
I just don't have the gene, to be honest. Like I literally do not, I don't understand people who love dogs. I don't get it. I'm not drawn to them in any way. I don't appreciate their value. And I'm not anti-dog. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So
fair.
I love that you,
I was just about to say, have you ever had a dog?
My parents did. And it was my dad's dog. It was my mom's dog and my brother's dog.
Okay.
But it was not my dog. It just was, they were just dogs that lived in our house. And, I just never connected to them. And there might be like a family of origin story there to think about, but I don't really know.
But even the breed makes a difference.
Yeah. I want to ask you one more question before we have to shut it down for the day. But you've never wanted to be a parent, but here you are. I know you're having to kind of become the parent for your own parent. Like, what is that like for you? Like and I know it's not a one-to-one, but like it's the life cycle, right? Where suddenly we become their caregivers. You've been on that journey for a season. Mm-hmm. How do you make sense of that?
That taps into the same thing in me that loves being a therapist. Honestly, so helping my dad, and look, he's at a facility, so it's not like I'm caring for him 24/7. That's a different story. That is a life-altering, but you've difficult
gotten
journey.
There, like you've.
Oh yeah, but I'm there every week, and
no. Sorry, what I mean is like he wasn't always at a facility. You were much more high touch there for a while.
Yeah. Okay. And I really like. How do I explain this? There is something so special about being able to help him in a way that's caring and helps him feel safe. For instance, something as simple as going to the bathroom. I really love being the one to do it. There's something that feels a little bit kind of, I don't want to make this too fluffy, but kind of sacred in that I know that I have an ability through my training and my experience to recognize and honor people's dignity and humanity. And my dad did that too. He was an incredible physician, really beloved, really altruistic, was dedicated his life to researching how to minimize error in patient care, how to make medical culture less backbiting and more accepting of personal responsibility, people not being so fearful, feeling like they need to hide things or deny responsibility so that patient care could be safer. He really made his patients feel like people. I now know he didn't have to come home and call all his patients the night before surgery. He did that. And he did it every night. And he'd stand there in the kitchen and make call after call, and he'd talk to them as long as they needed. I now understand what that is. When you really care about the person, it's not a job. It was just an ethic. And so when I am there with him and have the ability to, and even anticipate, like sitting down for him is really scary. Depth perception is different. Just those, I love being able to learn about dementia, anticipate some of his needs, understand what some of his experience might be, and then actively support him in a way that I know, even if he can't express it, is helping him feel safer and more comfortable. I love being able to do that for him. And it's actually, I'm sadder when I'm away from him. I know that for a lot of people, it's like seeing their parent in that state is harder or more painful. I actually, because this is, again, like I love science, knowledge is power. When I see him, because I understand the disease, I can understand more about his experience. I really love being with him and being able to work with where he is.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've really admired your commitment to him. Almost every time I text you, you're like, sorry, I've been taking care of my dad. I've been working on I've been with my dad, or we've been celebrating with my dad. And I think there's so much integrity and dignity in that. It's really cool to observe. Friend.
So I love him.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thanks for hanging out with me. This is so fun.
Yeah, we'll do it again here pretty soon. But
Sounds good.
I want to, and if we get to talk to Tai, great. If we don't, that's fine too. But
okay.
I just appreciate you and that you make me smarter.
I appreciate you. Same reason. And you make me better.
Okay, gang, that's part 2 of 3 with Dr. Shannon Curry. You can find Shannon on Instagram at Curry Psych Group. That's CurryPsych Group. And you can hear more from her next week in our 3rd and final chat together. As always, I'm grateful to you. I appreciate you continuing to support Marriage Therapy Radio. You can do that through Patreon. You can do that by continuing to follow us and promote us on the socials. I would love to hear from you. In particular, if you are a couple that would enjoy being interviewed by me, I am going to shift pretty dramatically here in the summer to prioritizing relationships with real couples about real life stuff, just to learn about what's going on the ground out there in the world. But for now, I will thank you for the time and attention you're putting into your relationship, making it better today than it was yesterday.